Alright, hello YouTube. Welcome back to some more Kerbal Space Program. Last episode, we basically pulled a high dive off the moon. Unintentionally. If you didn't see the ending of the last one, you really should go and check it out. But I also realised, I don't know if this is coincidence, but the pod that we did it in is called the Nereid. The Nereid is a water spirit in mythology, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if that was luck or what, but yeah, it feels like some strange coincidence that the water spirit allowed us to survive like a 160 meter a second impact into water from space and survive. But yeah, what is this actual impact resistance? 55 meters a second. I'm pretty sure we came in faster than that. That is high. That is actually quite high. That's a tough command pod. But I also noticed, interestingly enough, seamless abort landing system powered by monopropellant thrusters. I don't think these are meant to be for actual engine birds at all. I think these are meant to almost immediately like burn your fuel and very quickly stop you. I could be wrong, but I think that's maybe the idea. But anyway, that happened last time. This time I don't know quite what we're doing just yet, but I'm having a look at what we could potentially research. Some more smart parts and scanning modules for actually scanning surfaces. Probably not what we need now. I think what I said we wanted last time was probably fuel tanks, but I'm having a look at some of the stuff we could take. Batteries and things here, and more solar panels. There's, again, some radiators to absorb heat. Bigger landing gear. One we'd like to take when we can is advanced unmanned tech, but we will need quite a lot of money to upgrade the station or the research center. That gives us rendezvous. That'll allow us to start building space stations properly. We could also take, interestingly enough, actually, we've got access to this earlier than I thought we would have. We took heavier rocketry. We could take nuclear propulsion and gain access to the Nerve. The Nerve rocket is nuclear. Literally, this is a real-world project that NASA wanted to work on. I think they couldn't because of some of the sort of rules between having nuclear stuff in space. Basically, it is a nuclear reactor that you run fuel through. You use the heat of the reactor to ignite the fuel and propel it out with a lot of power. You know how we've been running on engines that go up to about 400 efficiency? 800. They are tremendously efficient. This special one goes up to 820, although I believe it... No, it does run on liquid fuel. It is just a more powerful one. They're not tremendously powerful for their size. But again, for that kind of efficiency, it's kind of worth it. This is the sort of thing that could take us to Duna. If you remember I said we'd have a transfer stage to push us out there that would have efficient engines on it, the Nerve is a good early bet for a craft like that. So that is definitely a route we could consider going down. We could also move up to more advanced fuel systems. I think we could get to it either way. I don't know if we need both or whether we can just do either. But yes, we could also take advanced fuel systems to gain some more larger fuel tanks. In fact, I think we are going to take that because that is an issue we've had. Okay, so we need both. So I think I'm quite happy in saying we're going to go for heavier rocketry and advanced fuel systems, and then nuclear propulsion becomes available as a potential option later on. We could also take space exploration to give us wheels. I think we have to do... I think for the really big space hotel contracts, we have to do a ground tour of the space center. So we have to build a little ground car, basically, which I thought was quite cute. I actually quite like that mission. So we'll take space exploration. It also gives us access to ladders, storage boxes, repair kits, a few container modules, the control station, which we need for any of the ground-mounted experiments. So we actually will want that, and a few modules, and also a very small lab. All useful things, so we're going to take that. Right, and after a short pause, because there is stuff to sort in real life behind me, let's have a look at what we could also potentially take as missions. We do still want at some point to do potentially another Minmus landing, which we could do with our new lander. Be even easier than the first one. In fact, the new lander might even be overkill for Minmus, but that's for our recover scientific data from space around Minmus. We'll probably still use it. We want to get the hang of it, and we also want to try and deal with the slight problem of it coming into land way too fast, like it did before. There's one to take data from around Minmus. We could also potentially take one of these to try and unlock the next step of it. We could try and build Space Camp. The only thing is, without being able to rendezvous, we'd have to build whatever return systems are on it to work from it. So it might be quite a large build. But we will potentially... We do get... we get Kerbals from it. At the end of that mission, we actually get some of those tourists as free Kerbals, and free Kerbals is pretty good. In fact, you know what? We haven't built a space station yet in this. Let's go for that. Let's build Space Camp. If we added an extra couple of members, we could do that at the same time, couldn't we? Maybe, and just leave them up there for longer. Nah, we'll do that. We won't be mean to them. I like to be nice to the Kerbals. They already go through enough, bless them. Only thing is, we are going to need to launch something that can withstand... What do we need? Crew experience level 2, at least 1. Ah. Okay, so we are going to need to probably send all our Kerbals up with it. So we're going to need a reliable re-entry pod. Or at least a design we can use a few times. So they're probably going to be living in. They're probably going to be living in their crew pods, but we'll try and have a bit of a communal space as well, maybe. Then we're going to launch this in one go, so our options are a little limited, but we've got larger tanks now. I believe we have this was like a double length 2-meter tank, opposed to our little... oh no, it isn't. It's about the same. No, it's actually smaller diameter. That's fine. Actually, that's fine. Oh, we've got the Jumbo. We've got the Jungo. Jungo? The Jumbo. This is a very standard fuel tank. It's been in the game for ages, although it used to look a bit more like this. The orange. This is a very good standard, sort of largish fuel tank. So, 14 Kerbals. Oh boy. Now we could potentially use the Nereid, because if we used the these engines on them, those could act as the deorbiting motors and would be able to quickly drop them out of orbit, and then they can land. We know these are quite resilient pods from our accidental incident earlier. So we know these things could take quite a beating, especially if they don't have any extra weight on them. Although I think we will actually specifically set the altitude up a little bit for these guys, because they, again, hit the water a little high. Hard even. So what I'm thinking is, how many Kerbals do we need? We need a pilot, an engineer, and a scientist, so at least one on level 2. We'll also need, what was it, 14 pilots? 14 tourists, I believe it was. These hold 2. Could we potentially even go bigger? Yes, we have the Mark 3. Okay. So, hang on. 17 divided by 3 would be 5 for 15, 6, I think, right? So, if we did a sort of hexagonal core of 6 of these... Actually, not that I'm sure quite how we'd launch that. Do we have anything to deorbit them either? No, not especially. Going to have to design a little something. About fuel tanks. We do have fuel tanks, small fuel tanks. So, what I'm thinking is we have a small set of fuel tanks at the top of one of these Mark 3 pods that carry 3 Kerbals each. We have a heat shield. Enough meter. And we use ant engines. These are dirt cheap, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 110. Does not matter if we break them. I could even potentially have them... Oh, we can have them... Oh, we can actually attach them in the centre. There's an extra node down there somewhere. There we go. And we have no fuel? What? What does this burn? Look, fuel and oxidizer. Are these not set to that? They are. Is that to do with the way the fuel's feeding through? Okay, do we have radial attached engines? And not the third? Oh, we have these, I suppose. Okay, we've got a short burn from those. Yeah, 2.5 second burn. They burn their fuel very quickly. If we set these to actually be monoprop. Wow, okay, that's actually probably not enough, if anything. That's the first, don't normally get that. Right. In that case, we'll take this off and we'll put these underneath, effectively. Okay, I guess we just need a little bit more fuel than that. Slightly Mickey Mouse looking pod here at this point. Can we have it look a little less silly than that? We do... Oh, we could also do a small... with a little hat. That would do it. These engines will probably burn off from re-entry, but their entire purpose is just to get the pod to re-entry. Mind you, could we deorbit a whole space camp in one go? I wonder how big a heat shields we need for that. If we were to surround it with thermal paneling, these are designed to take heat away. If we were to build a bigger structure that had a load of Kerbals in it and a bunch of parachutes, that might actually be a better way for this one. So, let's see. So we need 14 Kerbals, right? 17 Kerbals. These can carry 4. There's video facing rendering. Dawn can carry 5. It's quite a large module. Jackie carries 4, but it's the right size. How many of these would we need? 16 would be 4. We've got 3 on there. Yes, so if we launch 4 of these and we surround them with radiator modules, we have a lot of additional chutes on top. 4 main chutes, 1 XL, and we maybe have some drogue chutes as well to slow it down for the higher orbit. Okay, so that is our... We're going to set these to white. I don't mind the insulated look, but I prefer the uninsulated look. You get 3 options with the some of the things from restock. You get like the bare metal look, insulated, and white. And again, I prefer the plain white. I feel like it matches a little better in some ways with some of the other parts. We also want a small engine, probably detachable, to bring us down, and a heat shield on the bottom. For this, we can use studs. They are a bit big, but they're fine for this purpose. We'll actually, tell you what, let's fit an engine module beneath this to deorbit it. That's probably even a better method to both orbit and deorbit it. 2 meters. We do have a 2 meter decoupler, right? Yes, we do. I'm not sure this is necessarily how I'd recommend doing a contract like this, but then again, I'm not sure how I'd recommend doing any of them. I think all my recommendations are slightly jank. I guess go your own way, man. Work out what works for you when you're trying this yourself. You want to try deorbiting an entire space camp at once? Speaking of, we need to name it. You go right ahead. R07 Space Jank. Right. Thermal shielding. Let's go. To basically shield the entirety of the outside of all of these pods. Oh, this will likely not work. These radiators will, I believe, drain power to provide thermal protection, or to reduce the heat, I should say. Actually going to do that. Have it extend out a bit over the top. So we'll probably also want some batteries, and we'll need batteries for power anyway, so I think we can slot one of those under there. That's a bit big. Tell you what it is, but we can make use of that universal storage stuff that I mentioned way back in an earlier episode. So I think we usually have to search for this. It doesn't come up quite right. We want a 4 meter servants core. And what the 1 meter cylindrical fairing as well. Here. What we can do is deploy primary base. See into it. And we'll go a couple of battery cores. I might do another search for universal and see what else we can put up there potentially. I think we might still have some science we could do in orbit, so I might even be tempted to put a couple of science modules up. Guidance computer. KOS. I don't think we're using that. Atmospheric science unit. Radial tank. See what would be best for this, I think. Life support. Don't actually need that. We haven't got life support mods on. Remote operation system. You know what, honestly, we'll have a science module. We'll just have another battery. So I believe the atmospheric one combines the thermometer and the barometer into one thing. Right. Also move these in. Get these all locked together. This is perhaps probably not what these radiators were designed for, and I suspect we're avoiding some warranty somewhere, but no glory without risk, as I think Eeloo likes to put it. Kraken only knows how this is going to go, but let's try that. I might even be tempted to flare these in a tiny little bit. Okay, let's hope for the best with that. Look at this mess. Okay, right, we've got to somehow get this to orbit. It might even be that this is too heavy and we can't even orbit this. Yeah, and we might have to come back to this contract later, but... Right, Jumbo. Let's do a skipper. It's probably not actually that heavy what we've built so far. Yeah, that's not too bad. We should be able to orbit this. Skipper should do for an upper stage. We just need a low stage with a better thruster weight to get it going. About 3 of these. How's that looking? Jank. Oh, we should do the same as we did the last time. We should do the 3 Deinonychuses. One perhaps that much, I guess. Quite powerful. Shouldn't need too much. Oh, we've actually got some of the larger engines though now. Have we got the mainsail? We do have the mainsail. Mainsail is a very good generic reliable engine. A little bit too long though. Length? Yeah. I think that will do it. I'm a little worried about the TWR on the next stage. Make that a little lighter, perhaps. Make that a smaller stage and we have a bigger first stage. Just go on one of those. Yeah, that's better. Better thruster weights. And then we have a slightly larger bottom stage. That'll about do it. 4,000. And we only need to get it to... What's our orbital requirement? 75,000, yeah. So if we put it up to 80, we should be okay. Man, this is a stupid idea. Trying to land the whole thing in one go. Oh, I hope this works. I'm going to smash a lot of tourists if it doesn't. Alright, don't worry about that. We'll just not mention that to them. So we're landing the whole thing in one go? Yes. It's new. You want to be a space cadet, you've got to be ready to be on the front line of technology. Literally. Right. So that burns, that takes us up. And we've got that. Good. We've got the orbital maneuvering engine, and we've got the chutes. We need the drogue. Whoops, that should be at the bottom. We do need the drogue chutes. This is actually not going to make us too much money, but the recruits will be well worth it. Sorry, I'm losing track of mid-sentence. We need the drogue chutes first. We'll wait for them to open up, then we'll deploy the others. Hopefully we should be okay weight-wise. Oh, solar panels! I knew we'd forgot something. I knew we had forgot something. Solar panels. Tell you what, we'll use these lightweight ones. These are not retractable once deployed. But they are cheap. So we're just going to assume these are going to burn up. And we'll use these. So. Oh boy, here we go. Loading the crew. We need at least one 2-star pilot. And since we need an engineer and a scientist, it's going to have to be Valentina piloting this one. And we're loading every other tourist we have. And we were about right. I tell you what, we'll bring everyone. It might be helpful to have both pilots on board. This is a big one. They've got different experiences, so it'll be better for the people on board. Right. Space Camp is ready for launch. As it's ever going to be. It's not very aerodynamic at the top. It is basically a cylinder. I don't know quite how Kerbal's going to... In real life, this wouldn't work aerodynamically. In Kerbal, this might work, because it might go, oh, the top side of the radiators is pointing upwards, and the pointy side of the command pod is pointing upwards, and you might actually get away with it. Or it might be horribly high drag, and we might feel it immediately when we launch. We shall have to take off and see, basically. Thruster weight is exactly 1.5 on the last stage, so it might be quite a slow lift-off. Alright, ground control, putting all our eggs in one basket. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, 3, 2, 1, launch. Oh, we are lifting up. Space Jankers, go. Still, it seems to be okay. I don't think we're suffering particularly at the moment. Gravity turn's not doing anything weird yet. Yeah, again, with the mainsail available, that's a good piece of kit for our space program. We'll get plenty of use out of that. That and the skipper are very reliable general engines. Same with the Poodle. In fact, the mainsail used to be the biggest for quite a while, I think, until one of the updates. I don't remember. It might be making history. Added some of the bigger stuff. I'm not sure. There's also some very big solid rockets in the game now. They didn't used to get that big. I think the Thoroughbred, that long one. No, it wasn't even the Thoroughbred. No, yeah, it was the Thoroughbred. I think used to be the largest one for quite a while, and then they added in a lot bigger ones like the Pollux, which was a good idea. I'm glad they did that, actually. The solids are good, a good bit of kit, but you did need some bigger ones, really, for some of the larger rockets. Otherwise, people just had to cluster up the smaller ones like crazy, and it always felt a little weird and brought in its own issues, like aerodynamics. How are we looking? I've realised we told it to go a bit higher up than it needed to, but we should be okay with that. Right, mainsail's about to go. Switching to skipper any moment. Skipper actually has a problem. Alright, apparently the problem is nothing to do with the engines. It is the lack of fins on that upper stage. Alright. I'm actually kind of surprised. It didn't look like we were getting many issues. I don't think it's greatly... I don't think the aerodynamics on it are great. It wasn't ascending at a great angle there, particularly, but... not too much we could do there, really. Hope for the best. I guess we could underfuel one of the other tanks. We are going to launch to a lower altitude this time, because that has cut our fuel to a little under 4k. We're trying to actually launch to 80k this time, which is still low orbit. That's all we need to reach, technically. Well, we only need to go above 75, but I'm going to aim for 80. Here we go. Space Jank attempt 2. We haven't lost anyone. No one's died, at least. Hopefully it's remembered the crew loadout for this particular mission. Okay, everyone. Yeah. Many potential space program members on board. So again, we really want to not blow this. It's meant to be 40-day space camp after all. Right. 3, 2, 1, lift off. Okay. Motor's wiggling a bit, but they're looking okay. And Space Jank is not very aerodynamic, but hopefully it's functional. And the idea of those is that we'll switch them on during re-entry, and hopefully they'll shed off enough heat that we survive and not burn up all the power on the craft as well. So they'll stop working. I assume they're reasonably heat resistant, so that'll help a bit, but they're not thermal tile, obviously, so we'll see. I'll activate the bottom ring first, see what sort of power drain they've got. I'll activate one of them on liftoff. It's the power drain. Not much at all, seemingly, but oh, mind you, we've got the afterburner running on the engine. We probably won't get a good reading on it. Stop at stage 3. Yeah, 3 is still fine. Up we go. It's like the ominous wind sound there. You're making me worried, game. It's supposed to be a space camp. It's supposed to be a nice peaceful mission. Low risk, question mark. I think it is just the sort of whistle from the engine, but... we might potentially be able to put a fairing over some of the less aerodynamic parts. If this doesn't work as is. I think we're going to be okay, but I'm a little uncertain. We're climbing quite slowly. Should get better. We're hitting the edge of the atmosphere. Definitely getting some speed up now. Might be because we're going to a low orbit. It's struggling a bit more because we're staying in the atmosphere for longer. That's, again, the drag is really starting to hurt us. But we should be nearly out of it now. Our speed looks good. We're just not getting the height we need. Might be that our circularization bird is very small. We need a little bit of fuel left to deorbit. I think we're going to have enough, actually, depending on how much we need to circularize. But if not, that is the drag, and we might have to see what we can do about that. We might be able to put a fairing over it, which will cover it and make it a bit more aerodynamic, assuming we're still okay for the height limit, because that was another issue. The Delta readout alone is not everything when it comes to rocket design, unfortunately. There is still a bit more work to do. See what we're looking at. If it's quite high, we'll have to refer... Oh, pardon me, that was not intentional. Okay, I think we'll be okay with that. That is quite low. That's very low for a segregation bird, actually, so I think actually it just burned up quite flat, and we've gotten away with it. We probably won't need anything. We probably don't need any more than 200 to deorbit, so I think we're okay. But sure we won't. We are going to need to use some of that extra stage, though, so we'll be using our monopropellant engines. They're not the most efficient thing in the world, but they are a nice, easy way to get around. They tend to be quite low profile, because monopropellant engines don't need to be very complicated. They are basically... well, they basically just are monopropellant thrusters, just bigger. Monopropellant fuels, if I'm remembering my space knowledge correctly, for those who don't know, they're what the reaction control system used, the little jets that like spurt around to kick you around in space. And what they basically do, I believe, they are two types of fuel, which I think the word is hypergolic, which is when they collide, they explode, basically. When they mix, they explode. And basically, they just mix two of them so that they will explode and then kick the rocket around. They're also nice stable fuels when they're not, or at least when they're not reacting with each other and when they're stored properly. So they're relatively happy to just sit there forever until you need them. There is some fun stuff about rocket fuel, apparently, in its history. But I haven't read it yet. I want to get a copy of it at some point. The book Ignition, which goes over stuff about rocket fuel. To give you an idea, the sort of humour the guy was using, one of the things he mentioned was the best safety protocol for whatever type of fuel it was he was working with, and an uncontrolled detonation is a good pair of running shoes. Basically, just go. If this goes wrong, just get out. It's not a good. Right, space jank is up. Cover all the Kerbals. That's just 14. Triaxis above. Right, to time warp. Be up here for 40 days. The counter counting down. Power's fine. Right. We are gold. Base camp is complete, and some of them will consider joining our space program. What we need to do now is check the electrical charge and start activating our radiators. Probably should have had running while space camp was on. It's probably been getting quite spicy in there, but 7.2%. 2%. We have many to activate. But I'm going to activate them all just in case, because I don't know what happens if this goes wrong. I don't even know if this is going to work. I haven't tried something like this before. But as from what I know, these will radiate away heat. Whether that works during re-entry, I don't know. Probably not in real life, but we'll try it. At the very least, again, it is at least a extra panel of something that is presumably quite heat resistant. Sitting in the way of the burning plasma and the squishy crew, so at the very least I imagine it won't hurt, and it's probably kept the radiation off quite nicely. Gotta watch that space radiation. It sounds like a thing out of an old sci-fi thing, but it is a thing. Sci-fi movie even. That's the word. Activating radiators. They don't actually seem to be draining very much power at all. That's nice. And last one. Right. Retrograde. Point is that way. Drop us out of orbit. Now we are doing quite a slow orbit. So we shouldn't have to worry too much about being smashed into something. We are indeed deorbiting as planned. So fuel not an issue. Don't know whether we're best coming down over land or water with this one. I think actually water might be best, so we're going to... actually, might as well burn fully. I think we're going to end up over land anyway with that one. Yeah, probably best to burn early, actually, and not end up on a mountain range. I say as we end up on a mountain range? No, we'll drop well short of that by the time drag's a factor, because I think we're going to have a lot of it. Our fuel tank is empty, but we kept burning. That was interesting. Maybe it wasn't reading the reserve tanks right. Anyway. So, this is our re-entry projectile is the only one I could use for this. Have any of you ever seen Ace Combat? Oh God, what is it, 4? I haven't played it myself, but I've seen clips of it. This kind of looks like the Solg, the sort of orbital weapons platform. What with the sort of long cylindrical body and the solar panels at the back. It kind of looks like I'm about to like drop a... I don't know if it was like the Rods from the Gods idea, which was like drop a big tungsten telegraph pole basically out of space on something, or nukes. Either way, this is not good. But yeah, the Rods for the Gods idea, they reckon, I think they said they would pretty much destroy anything on impact they hit. There's basically no material on Earth at the moment that would survive a hit from that. But for obvious reasons, space weapons is something everyone gets a bit antsy about, and probably for the best, frankly. So a lot of sort of space weapon proposals like that never actually get too much actual development, because people go, we really would prefer you didn't. And in case something accidentally goes wrong, which, I mean, let's be honest, it happens a lot. Right. So, our two big primary concerns here are going to, first of all, is heat from re-entry. We're going to lose power. So whether our radiators, A, can radiate enough heat, and B, will have enough battery life to do it. We do have multiple batteries under here. We also have science equipment I realised we never used. Take some readings while we're up here, why not? It's going to go really quiet. We also have multiple batteries. And the other thing is, once we're through there, is going to be, wait, are we light enough that our 6 parachutes, 7 parachutes even, will bring us down, okay? I think they will. Because we do have a lot of crew pods, we are large, and we have a lot of radiators which weigh a bit. But the crew modules are quite light. We don't have many fuel tanks, or any fuel tanks really at this point, and we can ditch the heat shield once we're through. Speaking of, the ablator is starting to burn on it. I can see it's decreased by 1, so clearly we are coming in quite shallow, I think. Very shallow, actually, by the look of that re-entry curve. Okay. It might be good, it might not. Sometimes you want to descend quickly to just get through the atmosphere and quickly slow down. Sometimes you want to stay high. Gradually bleed off speed. That tends to be more on planets like Duna. I have a feeling we're going to get spicy on this one. Those are going to burn off. There's absolutely no chance they survive re-entry as far as I can tell. As far as I expect, anyway. What are we looking at for heat? Cooling. I'm going to keep an eye on this front radiator and see if it actually spikes in temperature at all. It is cooling a tiny bit more than it was at 7.12%. 1.3. It is increasing. Could it be these actually are powerful enough to keep the ship cooled? The solar panels have somehow miraculously not broken yet. I'm sure they're going to. They're fragile as anything, but it is interesting that they haven't yet. Oh, there we go. Broken by aero forces. Aero forces not overheating, though. We've actually lost 2 of them so far. Oh. There we go. I hope that's just the solar panels. I can't see. I really hope that's just the solar panels. Yeah, I think it is the solar panels that have been burning off. Okay, we are basically a giant flaming cylinder. Terrifyingly meteoring its way towards Earth. Jeez. Oh, Kerbin. Oh, that's... You'd be able to see that from ground level, I am sure. The big old flaming bullet. We get some screenshots of. The radiators are running hot, but not very. Amazingly, I think this is working. So far. We are going to land in a mountain range in typical fashion. I'm pretty sure we are going to land in one this time. After all our near misses before. My word, look at that. We've come out pretty much unscathed, I think. I think we've actually survived that. Now the next part. Drogue shoots. You are needed. High at altitude as possible. 5,000. Once these are deployed, we're going to move on to the main shoots. So drogue shoots are something they use usually for the Mars stuff, I believe. They are basically small parachutes that deploy higher up and slow your craft down gently before your main ones kick in. Wait until we drop below 5,000. They should open. And now a bit. G-force is increasing. Main shoots. Oh, that's an interesting little formation. It would work in real life because they'd get in the way of each other, but this is Kerbal. We don't have to worry about such things. I suppose you could technically detach the drogue shoots. We could actually do that, but yes, the only thing I'm slightly worried about here is, are we going to land on a slope and roll down? Actually, I think we're landing in a little valley. That's pretty good, actually. Landing speed reducing. Reducing. We're still fast. Ooh, we might be okay at that. I'm going to leave the heat shield attached. I think the heat shield is going to break, but the rest of the thing's going to be okay. Maybe a radiator or two might get broken as well. It might also fall over. That's probably going to fall over. Could potentially detach the heat shield, but I don't think with the mass of this thing it's going to make a big difference. I think this is just a heavy craft. We'll also get ready to do a very quick recover, because I have a feeling it might try and roll. Oh, would you look at that? No, by the way. Counteract the rolling of our torque. Recover vessel. Oh, would you look at that? It actually worked. I was a little worried, not gonna lie. Don't tell the Kerbals that. It actually worked. I'm pretty sure we recovered them all. I don't think anything went wrong there, actually. Apart from higher drag than expected, we made it to orbit. We had very little fuel, but we had enough. I think that all worked out plus fine, especially considering where we landed. 18.3 science, not a huge amount, but a little bit. Bit of funds from the recovered parts. A whole bunch of level 1 tourists. Ready for next assignment. Cool. Contract complete. Aha, new pilot, Stelbert Kerman. Engineer Frotop Kerman. And scientist Natalan Kerman. Ready for future missions. Oh. Go visit them. Welcome to the team, guys. Yes, we've got 3. Got one who's stupid and not very brave. Good. Hello, Stelbert. One who's very brave and not stupid. Ah, excellent. Frotop Kerman. And one who is both stupid and brave. Natalan. We've got the full spread, basically. I like how Jeb is complete middle. Bill is the big dumb. And Bob is the big scared. But he's also bright. Bad Heater is a little braver than she is bright, by the look of it. It's an interesting mix we've got here. Yes, and again, we can hire them, but yeah, 80,000 to hire a Kerbal. And we don't need to. We just got a bunch of new, brave new Kerbonauts. Might have a little look what we could take here. Ah, I think we might soon have the... No, we need to do a little bit more to get the next contract as a 15-man space camp. Which, to be fair, we could do. That craft had room for 2 more in it, and it did work. There's a flyby moon tourist mission. 2 tourists. That's actually quite a good payout. Yeah, the space tourist contracts are not tremendous. That's an interesting one. Fly over the South Pole. Not tremendous. Well, don't give you much for science, but they give you good payout. I think because they're specifically paying you to take them out there. Plant a flag on Minmus and explore Minmus. That's a spacewalk and transfer between vessels. Don't know about that, but yeah. Tell you what, for next next time we'll go back to what we know. We'll do a minimus landing on a different spot. Try out the Nereid lander again, and maybe try using its engines to quick breakers when we get to the surface. We'll aim for water again, because that's clearly the safe spot to land with that pod. And yeah, hopefully you've all enjoyed that episode. I will see you all guys all again next time.